Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. It's been a little bit since I last picked up the camera. I think over 2 months now. If you've been following along, you would have last seen me in the Ozarks. I was in the Ouachita National Forest camping for a few days, and I gave a little bit of a brief update about what's been going on with me there. And then after I got back from that trip, things really went south in terms of health stuff. And honestly, I'm still on the journey, if you will, of trying to figure out what's going on with me. I got really sick after that trip. I'm not sick. I had a lot of pain, like in my face, and I was misdiagnosed 4 different times by 5 different providers over the course of the 2 weeks after that camping trip, until it resulted in my entire face being swollen and having to go to a hospital emergency room and having a CT done and finding that I had a lot of infection like in my face, and they had to end up actually pulling one of my front teeth, which was really hard to deal with because had the infection been found sooner, I could have been given a really high dose of antibiotics and the infection never would have gotten into my tooth. I've seen a few dentists now, and the most plausible theory that I've heard so far is that I had, based on the imaging, I had a cyst like on the inside of my face that was probably slow growing for years, is what the dentist said. And then she said that cysts can be benign, they can stay that way forever and ever, or sometimes they can become infected. And her theory is that cyst became infected, and I had been put on a round of antibiotics that it worked for a little bit, but then like it really freaked out the infection, I guess, like because they weren't strong enough or long enough. And then that's when I really started presenting with a lot of issues. Like I had several abscesses in my mouth. It was a really painful unnerving surgery by the oral surgeon that I'm not going to get into. It was very traumatizing, that whole period. And then I had to be put on another round of antibiotics after the tooth extraction. And because the oral surgeon did not do bone grafting while he did the extraction, I am no longer a candidate for an implant because there's been too much bone loss apparently. And the only option I have is to do a bridge. So right now I have in like a retainer with like a fake kind of tooth thing. So that's why I might have a little bit of a lisp. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's going to cost me $4,000. So yeah, it was, there was a lot of anger and emotions in early April. And then other updates, I guess, during that time, I was interviewing for a job up in Montana. that I was really excited about. I went through 3 rounds of interviews over 2 months and just got the call, well, the email, oh gosh, I guess about a week ago, saying I did not get the job, but I wasn't told why. So that was not helpful. And another job had popped up during that time in early May that I was interviewing for, and kind of checked a lot of the boxes, not all of them, but a lot of them. And that interview process moved really fast. I made it through 2 rounds of interviews before I got told no. Again, didn't get told why. So it's really, if there's any recruiters or anybody who's hiring that might happen to stumble upon this video, if you get people that are in last rounds, give them some feedback, especially if they email you back and ask for it. Like, because I know not everybody wants or needs that feedback, but yeah, it's been rough, guys. So this video is kind of a little bit of an update, and then also for those of you who might be following along because of the career break, like, I just wanted to give a realistic, side of what taking a career break can look like. There's a lot of pros, and for me, there's been several cons. I got asked the other day by a family member, like, if I felt like I made a mistake quitting my job. And I've kind of talked about that in other videos, but overall, I don't think it was a mistake, but hindsight is 20/20, and I think I would have done it differently. And now knowing how the economy is and what has happened over the last, year and a half, really, with everything and like the job market, like, I just don't know if I would have done it in the same way or maybe on the same timeline. But yeah, it's been 9 months of job searching, and I think I've had 4 interviews, and none of them have led to jobs yet. So I made a little bit of an investment, and I actually drove to Denver a couple of days ago, and Outside Days was being put on there. And while I didn't have the time to, go to the whole event, there was a free event that was a career fair. I went and talked to 5 different companies, and it was good. There was probably one good conversation that could turn into something with a lead. Like, I met the recruiter, I was able to put in an application that day, and I have her email, so I was able to email her and let her know that I did that. So we'll see how that goes. But I was like, you know what? If I had to drive 12 hours through northern Oklahoma and like most of Kansas on Wednesday to book it to get there, and then I went to the event on Thursday, and then yesterday I drove from Denver down to northern New Mexico here, and I'm so glad that I did this, because it's helping me remember like why I did all this in the first place, because like this is the life I want to live. Like, I want to be having my coffee, above the Rio Grande and listening to the birds sing and looking at mountains, and and I want to work, and I want to work for a company there with a great mission, and that the employees have passion and they care about what they're doing. And yeah, I want to do it remote. Yeah, I want to live, in my rig, and I want this to be my office. And I know it's possible, but it is getting tough sometimes to remember the goal, when you're getting so many no's. So anyway, little dose of reality for anybody who's considering a career break. Just be calculated. Be calculated, budget. If there's any way you could go part-time at your job or freelance for your job, or I don't know, just think about different ways to do it. Because I do think I made a little bit of an emotional decision at that time. I didn't think it was emotional at the time because I gave myself a couple weeks before I actually said anything. But anyway, I have to believe that all this it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. So anyway, this is a little bit of an update, guys. I don't want to make this too long. I have had a great time here, found a spot. There's no one around. I was able to have like some, lovely wine with some charcuterie last night for dinner, and just took all the nature in, because my last few trips have just, getting back from the CDT and then all my health issues setting in, and then going on my first backpacking trip since the CDT in March, and then immediately, like, it was literally a day and a half later after I got back, I started having like intense jaw pain. Anyway, and then dealing with that illness for a couple of weeks to a month of having to figure that out, and having a tooth pulled out of my face, a major tooth, a front tooth. Like, So it's been interesting. So I was like, I need to go into nature and for it to not be stressful or for me to get sick afterwards. But last night my watch said that I got 100% sleep quality, which I have not had in months and months and months. And my internal like rhythms feel reset. So I am gonna sit and enjoy my coffee here this morning, and then I am gonna drive into town and get some food, and then maybe stop by this ceramics pottery place because I love pottery, y'all. It's one of my favorite things. And see what they have going on, and then we're gonna start the long drive home. So I think it's gonna take me about 9 hours to get home from where I'm at today. I'm in the Taos area. And yeah, I've never been here before. I've been close to Taos, but I've never been actually up here. And I think I might try to drive down. There's some switchbacks you can drive down to get down to the river. And there's some hot springs. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if I have time for that today. But yeah, you can actually cross a bridge down there and kind of go up the other side. So very cool. I'll take you guys along with me for a couple of those things. And I'll show you my new tent here in a minute as well. But that's what's been going on. So I thought I'd be able to get out more in the spring and, you know, do some more backpacking, but it just hasn't worked out that way. So sorry for the lack of videos for anybody that watches for the backpacking content, and for those who might be here for the career content. We're still figuring it out, you know, and it's starting to get a little jarring, you know, like August will be 2 years since I quit my job, and like that's crazy. You know, I had to call a coworker the other day, a former coworker, and I was like, can you please give me a pep talk? Because I'm starting to feel like, you know, like, am I good at my job? Like, do people want to hire me? Like, why would they hire me? You just start to doubt yourself, you know. So anyway, it's good to have good people around you who believe in you and can talk you up when you're on a literal cliff. And to keep going. So cheers. So this is the new tent, guys. It's the updated version of the Tiger Wall UL2. So I used to have the yellow one, which was I think the first version, and this is the new one. And I love it so much. Some changes that they've made are the walls on the doors. This used to be all mesh, and now it's like half and half of this like thicker material. And then they've changed the way the fly kind of secures at the pitch points to the poles. It used to be fabric, and now it's kind of a rubber material. And it's green now, obviously, instead of yellow. And that's new as well. That's $40 worth of no-sew patches. Because I did go camping a couple weeks ago. It was just one night. I didn't film it because I was like, I just want one camping trip of not having to be talking to a camera. Because I realized that like I've been filming my outdoor adventures since March of 2025. And before that, my last backpacking trip was October 24. So I had not gone on a, you know, outdoor adventure since October 24 without filming it. So anyway, and I took Lily out, and I didn't put the rain fly on that night because it was going to be really beautiful out. And that was my bad, because she's always slept in a tent with a rain fly on. And you know, she's a dog. She alerts to things in the nighttime. And I usually have my sleeping pad in there, and then I stretch out her sleeping bag along the floor so her claws aren't, you know, touching the body of the tent. And then we were at a lake and she had gotten wet, so I actually had, you know, had a towel in there as well to help, you know, keep her dry and from things getting gross in here. But in the middle of the night, without the fly on, I guess she saw something and she tried to charge through the mesh. Thank God she didn't rip the mesh, but her claws put a pretty large rip. It wasn't even a hole, it was a rip in the tent body. So I have it patched on both sides. And no-sew patches are great. I love them. They've always held up, and I'm sure it's going to be just fine, but it's like so annoying. Like so annoying because I had my other UL2 for my Tiger Wall for years, like since 2021, I think. And it had a couple pinholes in the mesh. And then in the first night of this brand new tent, like it was like a 4 by 7 by 2 inch rip. Like that's how big it was. So anyway, but it's a beautiful tent and I'm happy to have it. I got it as a pro deal REI, so I was able to sell my old tent for as much as this one cost me. So that was exciting. And so it was like kind of a 1-to-1 swap. But I'm gonna get packed up and then we're gonna get on the way. These switchbacks aren't that bad. They're really well maintained actually. They just look really steep when you're looking down at the canyon. After some time dipping my feet in the Rio Grande, I stopped at Goutie's, I think I'm saying that right, down in Taos, and had a crepe, which was recommended by the server. Super delicious, had a great time. It was the perfect way to finish off my nice little road trip that I had. And then I made my way through Carson National Forest. I kind of took the long way home so that I could stop at Enchanted Circle Pottery and got to meet the owner and the potter, and he was just so wonderful. I picked up a couple pieces there, highly recommend. And then upon his recommendation, I also stopped in Cimarron, New Mexico at this hotel built in the 1800s and had a drink and got to walk around and take in all of the original architecture. And then I finished off my long road trip with a lot of I-40 down to Oklahoma and finally made it home. And I'll be sure to catch you on the next one.